Good evening. This is CEN, the Collective Entertainment Network. On tonight's broadcast, we return to Asraya, a world of our own, specifically in the Freelands territory just north of the Imperium. My players this evening are John, playing Captain Saren Caspian, Rose on Sienna Belfor, Ray on Sir Tharros, and returning from our Dragonflight game and hopefully a regular player for all future games, Nost, who will be playing a yet undisclosed character.
Yay!
With that said, everyone say hi, Nost. Hi, Nost.
Hey everyone.
With that said, join us as we write the Fables of Azria. It's not give me a second to recenter myself.
We're live, so hope you recentered yourself real
I
quick.
mean, center myself real quick, yeah. All right. Do not fear the dark, the deep, the vast abyss beneath your feet, filled with creatures strange and old, of challenges fit for the bold. Do not fear the sunless realm where colors seek to overwhelm. Every sight might be a lie found here beneath this starless sky. Do not fear the deep, my friend, beneath the pillars without end. Fear the heart that drowns in sin, for darker things lie deep within. From the journal of an unknown poet, lost into the deep beneath the world. Nost. You arrived in the mostly human city, West City, in pursuit of your, shall we say, prey. You have followed rumored and witnesses using whatever methods seem appropriate to you, be it gentle or brutal. There were signs on the road here of a scuffle, maybe a week old, and you had to entertain the possibility that your quarry has been stolen from you as you enter into the city. But just as you were beginning to consider your next step, lo and behold, a small parade comes into town, some 20 humanoids dragging carts of food and stone, and a large black iron carriage. Your quarry in their midst. Sticking to the crowd, you are witness to the rising upheaval of the crowd, the palpable anger before what we as the viewers know to be a Leonin, but for you, you are unfamiliar. A large, muscular, animal faced humanoid with golden fur who stands up and calms the crowd with a speech. Shortly thereafter, guards appear, and wisdom suggests that you find a better place to hide and keep watch. And watch you have. The iron carriage has since been moved into a nearby inn stable, and you have observed the coming and goings of the people therein. A smaller animal person, a tabaxi that we would know, had left, and then shortly thereafter came walking back again with what amounted to a large bush of flowers before wandering off towards another building. Darkness began to descend. And just as you were preparing to move in, the larger animal man and another man with a large growing rock in his eye came stumbling out of the inn, arms on each other's shoulders as they stumbled off in the same direction that the tabaxi had left. You gave it just a bit more time. And just as you were confident that you could make a move, a woman comes skulking around the corner and quietly makes her way inside the stable, the very stable you have been watching, and you can see a very faint, cold light through the cracks of the building. You decide to wait and see. And soon enough, the large animal man comes around the corner and enters the stable right after the woman. And you can faintly hear voices, though you can't quite hear what they were saying. It's at this time that the door to the inn catches your attention as a new man quietly steps out of the inn carrying food and water and makes his way to the stable. He slides the door open and exclaims, "What are you doing here?" And at this point, your character is your own. What would you like to do? First and foremost, as we see you standing in the dark, hidden from sight of others, what do we, the viewers, see as we look upon your character?
All right. You first see what it seems to be a man in what seems to be a tattered white clothing, red with rust and brown scattered dirt across the side of its sides, along with this seems to be the cascade of fur and what seems to be feathers on the scuff on the top of his jacket. Everything seems to be torn and worn, would seem with like these extricated leather hanging off from his side with long of a bookcase. His hair is wrangly and unkempt, white, purely white, and his eye seems to glow. It seems to be a emerald bluish green of some sort, as the rest of his body begins to illuminate as if it's some type of nightlight. His fingers, which seems to be torse and horn, as if he like clutches it, as if to, for some sort of surprise, bracing himself, whatever it could possibly be, as if he may have outed himself just now. He does not speak. Instead, he instinctively uses his instinctual language as he begins to flash roaming colors, and light begins to rip from his body.
Nice. In this instance, what do you do as you see this man exclaim? You know that your quarry is inside. You know there's these two other people in here. This man who has just walked out to the stable with food and water, exclaiming, apparently having caught these people. What do you do in this instance?
I say to him, the person, as I catch myself, I say, please, step aside. I have business with those. They must give me answers. They are people of my kin or in desperate need of aid, and they know where they are.
You for Theros and for Sienna, as you see this door open, you see this a bit of glowing light coming from outside as this new figure emerges from seemingly from the dark itself. Um, as Jacob, who had been carrying this food water, kind of turns to look over his shoulder at this new approaching figure. Theros, I believe you are at the door, while Sienna, you were getting ready to go back inside to check on the elves who
Yeah,
were
I was
inside
like
the
right
carriage.
in the doorway to the carriage, I think, because I was in the middle of talking back and forth from Theros to the other people. So that I would look to Theros, who's probably closer to wherever the voice came from, and ask Mr. Hakup to get in the wagon. We can talk about this later. There's someone else here, and then I'm gonna draw my weapons just in case. Because the last thing I know is that there's someone coming after these people in here, specifically the two kids from that letter I got. So I'm gonna ask Hakup to, we'll table the conversation for later. Right now, there's an intruder, and hopefully he'll get in the wagon where it's safe and not in the middle of the lion's path.
Let me bring you guys on the roll 20 back to the map of West City. Roughly everyone should be where their tokens are in a very general sense. Um, uh, Jacob, not quite sure exactly what's going on, steps through and starts making his way over to the wagon. Um, Theros, are you doing anything? You are closest to the door. You very plainly see this figure who seems to be almost glowing out of the dark. You recognize actually very quickly, having seen technically one, but two occurrences of this sort of being. This is a deep elf. You recognize this very quickly.
Um, well, I had something planned, and then you introduced a new character.
What What were you planning to do?
I was going to be just right back to him, to Jacob. Well, no, what are you doing here?
You can absolutely do that if you see fit.
But I'm trying to be like big and intimidating and like this may be his wagon, but I'm in control here. So
I mean, RP as you see fit. If that's what you want to do, keep in mind you're still a little buzzed.
yeah, a little buzzed. No. What are you doing here? Jacob? Stealing people? And
I
he keeps himself like he's big, but at this moment he puffs up and like flexes out.
Sienna, you get the distinct impression that Theros may not have clearly heard you at all and might still be a little intoxicated. As he is, I'm assuming you're probably kind of blocking Jacob's path a little.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, as Theros sort of stepping in his way, Nos to your character who is yet to give his name, you see this man being blocked. You hear these words that this animal man, this lion-like creature. I'm just gonna say Leonin, but your character is not familiar with them as of yet. That this Leonin is talking to. You hear these words that the wagon belongs to this man.
Forgive me. Some. I had to step away real second. Can you someone please repeat to me? Quick second. What was spoken?
So as you have appeared, Sienna, this woman in the back, has called for the man Jacob to come and uh, hide in the carriage while this Leonin has sort of actually kind of stepped in the way, blocking him, um, preventing him from going there. And you heard him say that this carriage belonged to this man, and he was accusing him of transporting people.
I go ahead and, upon the hearing that someone was threatening like transporting people, I just state to them, "That's you, someone." As he just gets really angry, really frustrated as he tries to like essentially try to communicate as his thing begins to flashing lights again, and then he just simply states, "Where are my kin? Where are they? Tell me."
I, I, uh, the
Theros,
I
they're
can
not prisoners. You need to let them in the wagon. This could get
I,
ugly.
I can explain. I can explain. Just no
They're
one
not
hurt.
prisoners.
No one hurt them. Please, I can
No, we're not
explain.
gonna hurt them. They're not prisoners. I understand. They're not prisoners.
How do you know this?
Because the lock was on the inside.
What?
They could have gotten out any time they chose. It was for protection. Now, we don't know who this guy is, and I point to No's character, but Jacob needs to get in the wagon before he gets in the way of whatever's about to happen. The lock was on the inside, Theros.
He steps aside.
Jacob still.
The
Jacob,
lock,
feeling the rising tension here, is going to step out of the way.
it was to keep people from getting in, not to keep them from getting out.
What do you mean, just to keep them in from keeping out? Where? Where would they go? Step aside. Let me see. I need to know.
And who are you, Dark
Jacob,
Elf?
not having.
It's, I look at this stranger, and upon hearing that, I just glance over an eye, and I say, "Hey, my name is Phalon, and I don't know who you are, and I don't cannot care for any of your names. Where are my people? Where are they?
Apparently running away from wherever it is you from.
From running away from what? Did were any of them hurt?" And I just say, "Never mind. This is exacerbating. This is confusing me. Would it?" And
Do
I
your
just
people look like you, Phalon?
yes.
Then your people aren't in that wagon. Best be on your way.
What about others of my kin? Other elves?
Uh, Miss Sienna, there may be. I'm willing to explain what's going on. And he's going to turn to you, Phelan. He's going to speak in Elvish and say to you, um, kindred of the people, allow me the opportunity to explain. If you wish to see that there is no harm that has come to your kin, you are welcome to come in here, but please be silent about it. There are ears that may not be seen nearby.
I look at him. Does he seem to be sincere?
Make an insight check.
All right.
So with a 23, he seems nervous. He seems there's definitely a sense of like I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar, but he does not seem dishonest. But you do notice as he is speaking, his eyes are occasionally glancing away and looking around into other areas, almost as if he's searching for something or someone.
I
We
take a
should go
glance.
in.
Go
I
ahead.
say we should go in the wagon and I'll talk then, if that is the case.
Phelan gets a little nervous. He says, "You've you best very well. What
I'm gonna tell Jacob I'm gonna have my cat do a perimeter search just in case there are people hiding.
Just allow me to be able to get them food. Is are any of them awake? Are they all right?
They are right. They're all right. They're not harmed. No one had touched them. They went away to save their strength for how long they've been gone
I
because the wagon was gone for longer than you anticipated. They weren't able to eat like you had been feeding them. So they saved their strength
right.
and went away for a little bit. They're on their way back. You should be able to speak with them momentarily.
I was terrified with how long it'd been that
They're
we
okay.
might have
I
lost
checked.
one of the children, maybe. But all right,
That they're
I will.
okay. I checked over them medically. They're okay.
Um,
I came to check on them
a
because I'll
fear.
hand them the letter. I came for this, and I'll hand him the
He's
letter that talks about people trying to kidnap the kids and kill the lady.
he looks at it, but it's kind of like dim light, dark light out here. He's human. He can't read it.
Oh, right.
Um.
And I hold out the blade and go, oh yeah, right. Hold on, sorry,
Oh,
I
thank you.
forgot. Use it as like a book light.
You see as he looks at it, and you see his face kind of get darker and darker. Damn.
That's why we're here.
This may not be a safe place to discuss. I'm going to check on them real quick. If the three of you would be willing to step inside, go to the rooms that I was in previously. I can provide some sort of protective manner in there, and it might be safer in there to be able to discuss these things. I wish to take care of them and make sure that they're all right first. If you wish to go ahead.
I don't think we should leave them out here unattended. If I could slip into that wagon, someone else who's far more who look like a rookie could do it.
Well, certainly. Um,
I'm gonna ask Quinn if Sam is still doing the Leomund's tiny hut, which is impenetrable.
Quinn's with you in the carriage
Oh, I'm gonna look
because
to
you had
Quinn.
brought him in. He
Quinn, was
used
he
his.
still doing that? I think I actually have somewhere safer that actually Captain Caspian actually has made safer.
If possible, if they can. If is it a place where they can stay concealed?
I doubt any harm will come to them if Captain Caspian and Tharros are around. I can conceal it well enough.
Make a persuasion check. while you've done a great deal of favor to him, his experience with you is still that you are a mercenary.
Yeah, I say I'm still a mercenary. 15?
Okay. If Captain Saren is watching them, then I suppose that can be trustworthy. He is. Can you tell me honestly that he is an Imperium and not a man in disguise?
He's an Imperium.
All
I can
right.
say that honestly. He's an Imperium.
All right. I believe you. Um, might take some time to be able to move them. Jeez. At this time, you see the woman's head kind of shake for a moment, and almost like she's coming out of sleep. She stands up. Notice this is your first opportunity of really seeing this woman as see this woman, an elven woman, very shakily, sort of come walk across the carriage and come to the door and look outside. She is a stunning woman first and foremost, of light brown skin and ash blonde hair. It looks as if it had been cut recently, and most likely very poorly. Sienna, you've done rudimentary hair trimming with a dagger before. This looks similar, very rough cut. Um, her eyes are bright green, which matches the simple wolf tattoo that is displayed on her forehead. Just above her right eye, there is a second tattoo. This one, a pair of antlers. Um, Sienna, you would know that she is the only one of these three elves who has these specific markings. She is weaker, for certain. She looks unsure of herself, almost as she almost looks as if she had been drugged. But Sienna, you know for a fact that this may very well be a part of her coming out of this deep trance that she went into to preserve her strength. As she sort of gets up, looks around, looks to all of you, her eyes focus on Jacob for a moment, and she speaks in Elvish, so only you, Phelan, would be able to understand. As she says, "Have has the Lord of the Beautiful Court come to send us aid? Are we safe? Are my children safe?"
There, there will be. I'm here. Name is Phalon. Here,
One of the
let me see if I can help. As
you are one of the Dark Brethren.
yes, I came here chasing. I'm I'm happy to see if I can find some. I have heard that some of you have been taken. I I myself traveled for quite some time looking for these people, hoping to see if I can save some of you. Here, let me give you something. As I look into my bag and I take out my herbalism kit and see if I can if she has anything currently on her that seems to be like indication of wounds or padding or bruising, I want to see if I can help alleviate any sort of pain.
There's some old bruising that looks to be on her wrist and upon her ankles. But old bruising, like probably at least like a good couple weeks old. It's kind of already turned that sort of greenish color that old bruising goes in when it's like draining from the area. But nothing too severe. Mostly just she seems to be very, very groggy, almost. Go ahead and make a either a medicine or a history check for me,
Okay,
Phelan.
let's.
Very nice. Um, your parents have described this to you, and you've actually witnessed this once before. But there are times when elves, you know for a fact, because this is your day-to-day life, elves trance as a form of rest, or as opposed to sleep that most other creatures endure. But this woman shows the signs of what your people would refer to as a deep trance. In other words, a trance typically done to uncover very deep, lost knowledge potentially from previous lifetimes, previous incarnations. that elves will go through. Um, and at some time, you also know from the fact that this is also something that slows down the metabolic rate dramatically for elves. It's almost like going into cryostasis for an elf. Doesn't prevent outside forces from harming them, but it basically brings their vital functions down to the bare minimum. And she looks to be coming out of this.
Do I see Phelan looking her over like I was earlier?
I would say yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna tell him that I don't know much. I don't know much about how trances or elven resting work, but she seemed okay. She seemed like she just needs food and water. Do y'all eat any specific? You don't look like you're from here.
No, no, I'm not. And if I could help it, I try not to eat any meat. But
We have some food actually back where the rest of us are, I believe. If we want to head there, it's much safer. I don't know if she can walk, but perhaps you could carry her and Theros could help carry the others?
you, yeah, yes, I can. You, I cannot believe you were helping them.
Yes, there was a threat that they were going to be kidnapped and that I assume their mother was going to be left for dead in better terms. She was not needed. They just wanted the children. And once we discovered that, we quickly went to check on them because when we returned the carriage, we weren't aware that there were people inside. I knew something was up because the carriage was aftermarket additions and whatnot. Also, I have a couple tips for you that actually might help with that, actually, being less suspicious in the long run. And I'll go back to turn to Phelan. But we heard and saw and we wanted to help and Theros is a big softie when it comes to helping kids, so
I turns towards Theros, or in this case, the lion, because I don't know him. Even he introduced me, I was very rude to him. I turn towards him and I take my two fingers from my right hand and I just sort of place on top of my forehead and I curl it and I split into two as I did like a greeting for my people and I say thank you. And I don't say it as in like physically through my mouth. I mean I show it through the constant blinking.
There's an oscillation of light, which you've seen little bits of this before when you knew him, even as a child, and even when you saw his adult form, had a habit of still flashing lights, and you picking up the sense of gratitude from this.
I'm just doing what I can to help.
I'm sorry. I I was extremely happy for quite past few days. And I cannot there's no words that can escape my mouth right now that could generally display how how sorry that I was. My behavior should not be absolutely at all attuned to that.
It is fine.
I do care for your name.
It was a tense moment, and I am Sir Tharros.
Sienna Belfour. And I'll kind of just
Well, my full name is Phelan Ulreth. Thank you, and I'll commit both of your names to memory. Here, let's see if I can help them, and I will see if I can grab the woman and assist her. It says,
She does sort of shrink back from you a little bit, and you realize that she her dress is quite thin. And this may be more of a discomfort from a man grabbing her, as opposed to just a discomfort of just being grabbed.
I'll take off my overcoat and give it to her since I have layers.
And she sort of nods to you. As for the other two, they are easy enough to be able to pick up. They are, as I said, like a young boy, young girl. Phelan being an elf, you know the proper. You have a better sense of elven aging process. Um, This boy is probably in his maybe late teens, early 20s. This young girl is probably her mid-teens. These are incredibly young elves. These are practically again like newborn children in comparison to your lifespan. Um, by the way, did we ever decide on an exact age for Phelan?
We did not.
Do you have a rough guess? Because I know you've undergone your rite of passage, but that can still be at
Yeah,
any
yeah.
given age time
I was gonna say like
for your culture.
I was gonna say like 120, 150 probably.
120, 150. Okay. And as you do kind of get a little bit more accustomed, um you're able to recognize as you kind of get more used to the different elven appearance that this woman is actually roughly around your own age. Quite young, but especially young for having two children already.
Okay. Says uh I'm I'm sorry. Please. And he will just sort of begins to say to her, "There, let me give you something." As he will take what seems to be a trinket from his own people, and he will and just sort of give it to her as like some sort of like reminiscing of his home, and says, "This is something that I would give to those in need. It's a small, what seems to be woven brown necklace that sort of, if you put against the wind with that of a druid, it sort of like sings a small hum, a peaceful hum. It says, I don't know if this would help, but this calms me down sometimes. Maybe we can do the same for you."
She looks at it. She takes a moment. She nods. Before she looks around for a moment. She reaches back inside. She pulls out what looks to be a seed that was just sitting in the corner of this wagon. She kind of waves her hands over it for a moment, mutters a few words, and this seed begins to actually sprout and then bloom into a very simple wildflower. Not something that you are all accustomed to. In fact, probably wouldn't be a species that any of you were familiar with, as this one comes from the Western continent. And she then hands that over to you, and says, my thanks. From one druid to another." She hands it to you.
He takes it both hands and sort of like, and just sort of like, kind of like places on his chest and lets it slide down to what seems to be a pocket on his left hand side, left side of his chest.
Mhm.
Thank you.
She's a Druish woman. Got to keep the faith. Um, with that, with Sienna helping her and the two other gentlemen able to pick up the children, you guys are able to lift them out, and I would say with this time of night, you're able to be very careful about making your way back towards the church, where Saren has his little camp out going.
I would
Um,
send Quinn ahead with the ability to detect invisible things, since Jacob specifically said there might be eyes we can't see. I'm gonna have
okay.
Quinn specifically looking out ahead of us for anything like that aerially, just before we go. That way, at least Theros might have a heads up, or I can notify Saren or Pogo or someone on the way that there's someone around.
Give me a perception check from Quinn.
24.
Okay. Um, as Quinn is going forward, still a little bit groggy. Um, there is a brief moment where where he feels a ping, where he sees a ping. Um, of an invisible creature, but they vanish. They seemingly noticed him, and then suddenly they were not there anymore. You have a distinct feeling that yes, there may be eyes on you guys as to whose eyes those are, or even if they are necessarily on you, or perhaps a robber or some other client of Rouge, maybe from nearby. Who's to say? But there is someone here.
There was someone.
Daily.
Was it closer to us or closer to Saren? Because it's only 60
Uh,
feet.
it looked to be rough. He kind of pings this position roughly somewhere on the at the halfway point
Okay.
between you guys.
I will
Possibly
telepathically
something
tell.
watching you. Possibly
I will
Saren.
tell that to Theros telepathically, as I imagine he's leading the way because he's tougher. I'm gonna tell him to keep be on his guard because there was someone around.
He will.
As soon as I'm in range of Saren, I will tell Saren that there's someone around and we're bringing guests.
All right. Since you guys are all back together, let's clean up the layer here. As you guys are all there. Saren, things have been relatively quiet. Things have been relatively peaceful. You
Was
feel, nevertheless.
Did you see
There's
my did you see my things on my roll 20?
yeah.
Yeah.
let's read this out real quick. First of all, it's like, well, if there was trouble, wouldn't be this quiet, right? I have a bad feeling about this. No, it feels like a peaceful night. Not even Little Miss Troublemaker could ruin a peaceful night like this. Damn it, I knew it.
Yep.
Pretty much.
uh, by the way, how do you get the text in the roll 20 to look like that whenever you do that rather than just like a chat? It's like the character.
So you have to make sure that underneath your text chat where it says as something, you click the character you want to do. And
I
then when you're
see.
typing it in, you type /E, and then whatever it's going to do, and it's going to put the name, and then whatever you type in first. So like for that, I put /E mutters. Damn it, I knew it, and it added Captain Saren Casby because right now I'm as Captain Casby.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that's cool. That is very cool.
Like for
Anyway,
instance, I could do this.
fun roll 20 stuff for anyone watching this. Sir Tharros holds a glaive in hand. Flusters in
I
face.
did
Oh,
not
he's
say that.
Sunday.
It wasn't even me.
But yeah, so you got to make sure that you're up to date on who your as says down there. Else you get some really interesting things where I don't know, a goat might give important NPC information or something. You don't want that.
Okay, that is good to know. Anyway, Saren, you cannot help but feel like there is something, a presence, something observing you, something watching you. And yet you do not feel like there is a threat immediately present. As you look around, keeping an eye out, and you look over and you take a look at the body, the head sheet had been removed somehow, and the face is looking at you.
To, to, to the body inside the hut.
The body that you guys are through the crack.
Okay.
The crack is opened up a little bit, and you see that the sheet that part of the sheet that was covering the face has somehow come apart, and Marcus's body, his face, is rolled over in your direction, and you feel like the eyes are looking at you.
Okay. Let's see. Where's that? Yeah, I'm gonna mage hand that with my telekinesis and just cover
Cover
it.
it back up.
When in doubt, double tap.
A
Okay, I
fiery
cast
tornado
Firestone Cleanse.
explodes from the church.
I cast fire. Right? You don't want me to double tap. Okay. I'll
You
do it
have a
second time.
gun. What do you mean you have a gun? Why is your first instinct fire tornado? You have a gun.
You know, if you could do it, it'd be your first instinct too, princess. No,
The voice of God emerges from the flaming tornado.
fear not. No, but yeah, I just sort of pull that back up and I say, odd. But I will wait for them to approach. I'll see the cat coming up, and you just see a giant yellow dome blocking the front of this tent.
With a little point at the top.
Yep, because I cast Lemon's Tiny Hut. It's very citrusy in here, very pleasant.
Smells clean.
But regardless, Saren, you see Quinn appear. Quinn informs you of what was going on, and not long afterwards, you see the rest of your. You see, well, quite a large party actually approaching. As you see Theros carrying a young man, this other elven figure apparently carrying a young woman in his arms, Sienna supporting an elven woman, and Hacob Smith approaching, still carrying food and water with him.
I will send out Sod the monkey god, and he's going to fly forward, land. He's going to do a very formal bow, wings spread, and then telepathically, I'm going to reach out to the no stealth, and I'm going to say, I am Captain Saren Casper. Who are you, and why are you following my friend? Telepathically.
As soon as I'm carrying the child, my ears would perk up, and I begin to look around, and I just state, "Who's there?"
The monkey waves.
I look down at the monkey. What sort of creature are you? I've never seen something like it.
That's Sod the monkey god.
When she says that, he sort of puffs up and like does a pose with his arms spread and his wings spread behind him.
I look down at Zod and I say, I've never met a creature that could articulate his words as well as, well, like myself. My name is Phelan, Phelan Orloff. I come from the deep, and I've come seeking to save some of my people and some of my brethren who have been taken. Well, that's a really cute monkey.
That is them. Yeah.
That is Sod the monkey god. You may approach my keeper.
I just sort of
And
like,
yeah, Saren will drop. Um, he will allow them to enter the Lehman's tiny hut.
Yeah. For sake of convenience, screw whatever the rules may say. You're able to enter in with all these people. You guys are all able to fit into this space. Um, it's still a little bit cramped. Um, the young elven man and the young elven girl are laid down on the ground comfortably. The woman, their mother, goes over, kind of just sorts of places her hands on their heads, starts rubbing their foreheads very gently, and starts singing very, very softly to them, almost like a lullaby, you'd imagine. Um, as food is set aside nearby them, you are all settled in, and
I will,
Jacob,
when they come in, I'm going to say, Magister Hacup, what a pleasant surprise to see you so late in the evening. I didn't know you were one to burn the
yes,
midnight oil.
not typically, but situation demanded my attention, and you can see what the situation is. Does this
Elves,
allow
apparently.
sound? Does this allow sound to travel outside of it?
No sound, no smell, which is why it smells so pleasant. No sound, no
I'd
smell.
say it's a
And
very
just as whenever
strong
you
citrus
approached, it
smell.
was opaque, even though it appears translucent from within. From without, no one can see who is in here. And I assure you, short of the third circle of magic, no one can come in here unless I allow them.
That should be. That is quite a blessing.
I studied
I'm
the
not
wizardly
terribly
arts
familiar
at
with
the
magic.
academies. Um,
See.
in between assignments as a way to pass the time.
I see. Um, Out of curiosity, are you familiar with the name Archmage Ashmite?
Well, DM, am I familiar with the name Archmage Ashmite? Should I roll a history check, or is that just
Make a
outside of?
history check, please.
Okay, let's see here. I will use my PT dice on here, and I am perma guided. So here's the history check. 34.
You are very familiar with the name of Ashmite, specifically Katarina Ashmite, an archmage of the Imperium, one of probably the most magically talented individuals in the entire Imperium, an elven woman of incredible renown. She is probably one of the most powerful magic users outside of any member of the great houses themselves within the Imperium.
Oh, I am familiar, but I am nowhere near that sort of mastery of this art. I dabble.
Oh, I see, I see, I see. Okay. Well, I suppose I have explanations to offer, and I can
Because
only
that's where we
offer.
are. What exactly has happened? And I'm going to look at Sienna.
So there was the letter, and I went to go look into the letter as I had told you before I left. And upon looking at the suspicious aftermarket production of the carriage I found earlier, I realized it was not a secret hidey hole. It
You went
was
to the
a.
carriage? I thought you were going to the inn.
Oh, stop. We. You're fooling no one. Uh, anyway, the aftermarket hole that I thought was a emergency exit was not an emergency exit for people, but other things. At which point I realized there was
What do you
actually
mean other
people
things? Were there monsters? There wasn't monsters. I don't see any monster blood over
bodily
here.
functions that usually latrine.
You broke into a latrine.
I thought it was an after. Anyway, not an entry point, so I went
He's gonna
around.
point at the monkey. He's gonna say, "Write that down right now." And the
No.
monkey's gonna.
And then I realized when I broke in using Quinn, the lock was on the inside. There were chains on the walls, but they were not chained. And they were in an elven-like trance, and I'm looked to Phelan, which apparently elves can do, and that's normal, I guess, because he didn't seem too worried about it. And they had went away to conserve their energy because they hadn't eaten in 2 weeks since the carriage had been missing for a while.
And are these the
And
family members that you said you were trying to save, Mister Phelan?
They're those of my kin. They are not family per se, they're just through blood, through attachment. It's because simply they are elves. When I was traveling here from the deep, I came across several what seems to be these traffickers. They were intending on taking me away. Through some sort of communication, after I dealt with a few of them, I've managed to hear that they were attacking other elves, and I went to go see if I can put a stop to it. Those of our cousins we have lost connection with many of them, and I wanted to know if I
DM.
was right.
Question.
Yes,
Um,
possible
is
answer.
this like is this like a normal thing that people try to kidnap elves for some fucking or some reason, or is this like something unheard of, or is this like general? Don't go near don't go into the forest because the cannibal tribes are there. Don't go into this part of the world because they kidnap elves there.
like poachers taking elephant tusk for their ivory
Given
kind of thing.
Uh, for this specifically, I would like everyone, except for Phelan, to make a history check.
That is a 17. I didn't have it.
That would make sense for Sienna, to be honest. Um,
He's the first elf I've seen.
humanoid trafficking. Humanoid trafficking is something you always hear of, but elsewhere. For Sienna, uh, you probably would have heard here and there. It's like, oh yeah, no, people get kidnapped, they get taken away to the Imperium. Theros, you hear, oh, people in Felixia, that one city state that got cut off from T'Pol. Of course, there's people who get kidnapped from there, or people get kidnapped to there, and then they get sold off elsewhere. For Saren, you of course hear of it as something that happens in the western city states, or even as far as Shoehurst, or even here in the Freelands, that people get, because it's such a lawless place.
Of course,
That of
fucking
course
free land.
people of all kinds get kidnapped. Um,
But not like elves
and
getting kidnapped for sport or something, right? Like there's not elf
nothing
kidnap
that is
elf gay or something.
specifically
Okay.
elves. No,
Just wanted to
nothing that
double
is
check.
like specifically elves. But given how isolationist elves typically are of
Hmm.
their various different groups, if there were people involved in human trafficking, I mean, who would know if anyone was take stealing elves?
They don't talk to people outside, so
And
you wouldn't really know.
would the elves themselves do anything about it? They're such isolationists.
That makes sense.
What a
This would be, yeah,
despicable
this would be
practice
something
taking
that would
people out of their home. I'm going to look at the woman and the. Are the children conscious or still unconscious?
they are still out, and she is still singing essentially what feels sounds like a lullaby to them. She has not really spoken all that much other than the little bit of Elvish that you guys have heard, that the others heard her speaking earlier.
Right.
Um,
I'm going to look to her. I'm going to say, I'm so sorry that this happened, and to you as well.
are you
What do
speaking
we
in
do to
common?
make this? I was. I don't
Okay.
speak Elvish. I speak Dwarvish like any proper tradesman. But I say that to Phelan, and then I say it to her whether she understands me or not. And then I'm going to look back to our noble friend, and I'm going to look to her and say, now that I'm caught up, I appreciate you taking the time for me to be as informed on this situation as everyone else. Please continue now.
Right. Well, there is evil in the world. I'm sure you all understand that. There are people who commit terrible crimes. There are people who do horrendous things. There are people who trade in weapons, substances, other nefarious objects. And what most people tend to turn a blind eye to is that there are those who trade in people.
He spits.
Yes. But despite that, there's a deeper darkness still. I don't know all the information. I'm going to be upfront about this. My lord is very specific about ensuring I don't have all the information on exactly what is going on, so that I. My lord is striving to fight against this deeper darkness. And part of that is we are seeking to rescue some of these people, these elves, who have been taken from their homes, and giving them a new home where possible. If we can return them to their home, we will, but for some of them, there is no home that they can go back to. For some of them, they are marred and they aren't able to return home. But to keep up appearances, we pretend like we are participants. Hence, the carriage, the chains you've more than likely found, the concealing that the carriage is, quite frankly, relatively easy to get out of. Much of this is a farce, so that those who may be watching or may suspect my lord believe that he is just as dark. But I assure you, he desires nothing but freedom for these people, but life for these people. And more than anything, he wishes to see the head of this evil cut off.
Hmm. I can't speak for my companion, but I can only speak for myself. But DM, I would like to roll an insight check.
Go ahead.
Same.
29.
I mean, given the subject, I approve of the insight check. He seems to be telling the truth. He
I don't
seems to
know
be
about my
very
companions, but
nervous.
I believe you.
He looks to the rest of you.
People are
Phelan sort of like, go ahead.
people are not meant to be sold and traded.
No, they're not.
You think your
Your
lord
lord.
would be willing to add to this adventure and maybe add some teeth to it?
Are you serious?
I am.
I agree with Theros. I was thinking it as soon as we realized the kids were involved in the first place. Honestly, I was going to talk to Theros and Saren about it and volunteer to go, whether you let us follow you or not. Because whoever's going to come after them is still coming after them, whether you let us or not. And it's easier to stop them when we're there. And I point to Theros, and he's there with his giant weapon ahead of time.
Uh, are you? I don't mean to look a gift horse in the mouth, but do understand. You're talking about taking on people who have such little care for life that they view it as a commodity.
Then I won't feel bad when I extract the brain from their skull.
I was about to say something similar. I agree. It makes me
As
feel
as
less guilty.
as was I.
I feel a little less guilty now with that fire tornado.
Please. I do not
One
know your.
problem, though, with Quinn finding possibly have spotted someone looking out for it might have been us they were watching or someone else. Quinn did spot someone hiding an invisible out or something out nearby. If you are trying to remain as if you were still involved in this as an insider, we might need to come up with a cover as to why we're all in here.
Hmm. You were going to speak, Master Phelan.
Please. I have the most amount of investment here. I do not care what kind of danger I possess. I want to be involved in this. You just met me, all of you. And to be fair, you have not many reasons to trust me after our first encounter. When I first left my home, I asked my people to send some with me, in the hopes of seeing the rest of the world. And to be fair, it is hard for me to speak. I have not practiced and used my tongue for quite some time, only through minor practice and reading the tomes. But what I can convey, when I asked them for help, they did not send aid. They chose to travel further, deeper into the deep. My order represents healing, sacrifice, and maintaining the natural order. This being property to something else, owned by something else, is against nature. You belong to yourself, not to mention the endless cruelty. I spent quite some time traversing, and I did not know these lands, but I can offer some skills that perhaps your group may be lacking. And with that, I like to transform into what seems to be a small dinosaur. I'll just
Um, okay, yeah, I was gonna say if you transform into a big dinosaur, this hut goes pop. Uh, and you see as is do you want to describe how you transform?
Phelan sort of like takes his two hands and clasps together like a Buddhist monk, and you see that the rings around his arms begin to glow a dramatic amount, and then these magic sort of caressing symbols begin to appear as his body begins to contort and change as his legs begin to be somewhat digital, or rather, I forget the proper term where they sort of diagonal or bipedal, but they sort of transform into this leathery lizard-like features, and eventually he becomes hunched over, feathers begin to grow on his back, and his entire face begins to change with an elongated snout, and you just see him transform to this small, minor raptor, velociraptor.
You see him
Ducking
transform into
hell.
a creature of scale and teeth and claw.
I could transform to others, but I do not believe this small place would be beneficial. I could also make myself bigger, and you just see him just sort of went from a small size to a medium size velociraptor. It takes a lot of energy from me, but I believe this could be useful to you. In exchange,
I
can you show me more about this land?
I agree, but I also think you have knowledge we do not have, considering we don't know much of. You've experienced what's happened. You are first-hand knowledge of what's happened, which we do not.
That is something I was going to get to. If this did not entice you, I figured this would boggle your mind. Am I using
For
the
the sake
correct
of
word, right?
convenience, we'll say this is being telepathically communicated at the moment because I don't think you get speech when you transform. But for the
Okay.
sake of convenience,
Yeah, I happen
I need to double check this.
telepathy works. We'll telepathy group chat each other.
It is impressive
So you mean to tell me that? Oh, well, go ahead.
it is impressive your skills. But no, you betray me. I drive this through your skull. He flexes the the glaive.
I wouldn't do no such thing. I would rather die than betray anyone. It is a solemn vow from me.
So, and I'm going to turn back to the Noldlingers. So, from what I understand, you're saying that your lord is secretly a champion of the Elvish Freedom Republic, but out of fear of retaliation, does not want to go public because powerful people are involved in this game of lives. Does that about cover it?
More or less, I don't know, as I said, all the details. There are certain things that only my lord would be able to tell you, and if you are willing, I wish to clarify, I have no more coin to be able to offer you in this circumstance.
That's
Your
fine.
help
We
would
can
be
work for
greatly
credit.
appreciated. Very well. I mean, I can, if you're willing to travel with us. We make our way south into the Imperium and to the southern province. Um, I can even send message to my lord, and he can
Oh,
possibly
finally.
meet us partway there.
Yes, I will have to have my dear friend deliver another letter, but afterwards. Yes.
Thank you. Truth be told, I grow concerned for my master with how much he fights by himself for the most part, and one other with him. But he has already devoted many years to fighting this. He's uncovered much, but there's with this letter, I have a feeling they may be starting to grow suspicious of him. Your assistance would be a godsend, to be honest.
Well, the one thing that I can hope for is that they spend so much time looking at me that they forget your master even exists. I don't know about how involved the Prince Regent of a neighboring country would want to be and how publicly involved he would want to. But I'm free to make my own decisions, and I have no problem being the face of liberation for people. Man should not live collared like an oxen, man or elf or any others. Freedom is the founding principle upon which the Imperium rests, the freedom of all, the safety of all, a republic of rights, protected by those in charge.
Well said. Regardless, uh, he switches over to Elvish, um, as he speaks to the woman. Uh, Janosha, are are the children all right? Are they're still unconscious? Is everything okay? Responding in Elvish, she looks up and says, "It will take them. Sorry, it will take them time to be able to come out. There, if it weren't out of necessity, I would never have had them go into such a deep trance. They need help getting out." I think the only person here who's able to understand this conversation, I think, is you, Phelan.
Yeah, it's the elf.
Who would have guessed? All right.
Ooh, the elf speaks Elvish. Oh.
Who would have guessed? Okay.
When I meant that he had things we don't have, I meant he speaks Elvish. Because none of us do.
He knows languages we don't know.
Okay. So I want to. So with this, I'm going to come over to the children. And is there any specific way that these particular elves like to be awakened if something like this were to happen, so I can respect their cultural norms, or is she just more or less asking me to just take them out, effective immediately? Is there anything materials they
um,
have?
are you asking her specifically if there are any cultural norms, or are you just asking me, the GM, if there's
Uh,
any cultural norms?
I'm asking you, the GM. Is there any cultural norms where I can ascertain and take them out of this trance the way they usually do?
You don't know.
Hmm. Okay,
Elves are isolationists. You know your culture.
I know. Don't know
Um,
this.
but these are you can recognize these people easily enough, and you've heard stories about the wood elves of the far Brazilian woods who um scar their skin, aka they do tattoos, um as part of their own culture. But beyond that, you don't really know too much about them, as far as their culture and their unique aspects. You know, Elvish culture. You know your own abilities, your all that stuff. Other Elven cultures, that would take some time to be able to really study.
Okay, so let's see here. All right,
But
so
you
what I'm
come
gonna
you
do.
come from the most isolated of elves.
Okay, okay then. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this mushroom that I have and seed in my pouch. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna cast. Let's see here, just to make sure I can do this. Let's see. Let's see if I can light this thing on fire and and just let it smoke. And I'm gonna let it like for a prepare and let this intoxicating smell sort of begin. It does really strong sensual smell, and I'm gonna just say, here, let them breathe in this. This should help them. They should come out of their trance. They may be a bit groggy, and they may be smelling this for about quite some time, but it should take them out relatively easy.
She rolls pretty high on her own herbalism checks and realizes that you're not offering them a toxic mushroom. So she takes it and she continues to sing as she kind of wafts this scent around them. A little bit of the air begins to shift and distort as she kind of got does a minor bit of air control to help them to be able to breathe this in. Um, and gradually, at first the boy and then the younger girl, they both kind of start. Their eyes kind of open up and they come to, um, following this song. Um, they both same thing, just as this woman Genosha. Um, they seem groggy at first. Um, very quickly, however, uh, Theros, can I have you make an insight check?
Sure can.
Okay. You very quickly kind of pick up that wait, this is a boy who's with his mother and his sister, young guy. Oh, this guy might get aggressive really quick here. He's surrounded by a whole bunch of people. You have one action to be able to do and it's do something to help prep against possibly him getting aggressive.
Um, kind
And
of.
I say this because you're the warrior of the group. You get this feeling. You have your sisters and your mom.
um, place myself behind him, ready to if he springs into action and move, I just want to grapple hold him.
Okay. Um, you see him as he kind of comes to groggily, sees his mother, sees you, sees everyone else going on. He immediately starts to jump and react and get up. Looking around, that there's that shock of fear in his eyes. Go ahead and make a athletics check at advantage. As you're just kind of grappling him briefly. Oh yeah.
Gee.
Wait, did you roll a 12 with a nat one? Holy crap!
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I did.
Jeez. All right. But besides that, 29 will definitely do it. As he kind of goes to get up, you very just kind of calmly, the paw just comes down. You just kind of push him down towards the ground, gently
hmm
but firmly, holding him there.
and
Oh,
just like with a bit of a growl in his voice, it'd be, "Sit, boy."
He can't understand you.
That's where the growl
pretty
comes
sure
into
that gets
place.
communicated. That's still very easily communicated here. As he relaxes, um, the young girl begins to come to, and she kind of shocks back, and she kind of like immediately sees her mother and starts kind of crawling back towards her mother very groggily, who takes her in her arms, holds her very close, um, and just starts speaking calming words to her in Elvish. But all three of them do appear to be awake now. Young boy kind of pinned to the ground a little bit by Theros. But all three are awake. Pogo is still in this circle, completely passed out despite all the people.
Sod the monkey god is going to climb on the little boy's chest and he's going to look down at him and telepathically, since I don't have to speak the language then, I'm going to say, "Peace, be still."
Still just kind of glancing around. But between Theros, between Saw the monkey god, and the fact that no one is trying to hurt him, he does seem to relax. Up closer, Theros, and probably saw the monkey gods able to see this. There are signs of healing on him. Like there looks to be like there was at one time a cut on the side of his head, possibly caused by a blade. There's a few bruises that you can see that are draining and healing very nicely. Remnants of one that looks like is on his jaw. Um, Very blatantly, this boy put up a fight with wherever recently and whatever was going on. He fought and he fought freaking hard.
It's the warrior spirit, the fight. It speaks to Theros, and he's just this is a good kid.
And as for the young girl, there are no signs of any injury, no signs of struggle. Her hair does not. Her hair is in this long, beautiful braid, that reaches down to her waist. There's no injuries to speak of, save for the marks around her ankles and her wrists. She is completely unharmed. She's very scared and clingy, but nonetheless, she is uninjured.
I'm gonna ask Phelan in comments. Everyone else can understand, but I'm gonna ask him to if he can ask the mom a question for me,
Go ahead.
and I'm gonna tell him what the letter said about how someone was coming after them and that the interlopers would be probably arriving soon and that they were after the children and not the mom and they didn't care what happened to the mom. Basically, they just wanted the kids, and I wanted to ask Phelan to ask her why the kids are more valuable than her. Like, why are they coming after the kids specifically and not her? That way we can be aware on the road what to protect them from.
And I communicate that. Phelan communicates that.
Um, Genosha, still sort of holding her daughter, looks up at you, Sienna, and begins to speak in Elvish, which Nost you're able, or not Nost, Phelan, you're easily able to translate. As she goes on and says, I don't know exactly why they would be trying to take us in the first place, but the children are still growing. They're still capable of becoming so much. Perhaps because I am already a wielder of magic, I am a druid already within my people, but uh, I do not know why. I don't even know why they took my husband and sold the rest of us.
DM.
Yes.
Before she had started talking, I wanted to like as she started to talk, Saren would have looked over to double check that corpse.
You look over and it still appears to be completely covered.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
But no, she begins speaking and saying these things, and uh, what did I say? Yeah. So I don't know why they would be trying to take just my children, other than they're still growing, they're young, they have centuries ahead of them, and I the only thing I could consider is possibly because I am already chosen my path. Perhaps that is something that they are looking for.
Trained, tempered magic wielders. I'm assuming the translation is active here,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can all
Okay.
Yeah.
If
participate.
we're
Yeah.
gonna have,
Yeah.
yeah, translation
Yeah.
is active between Phelan and between Haycub. You guys have enough people who can translate. Um, Haycub will speak up though, and he will say, it's very possible that they're wanting to prepare or train the children for something
And
specific.
since she's already a druid and skilled, she would be more of a threat and less compliant in whatever they were doing.
Quite possible.
So who is it that's doing this? What's our lead for that? Or is it we stand around and wait to get attacked? I am all for the plan of
You're
the best way to get through a trap is to spring it. But if we're able to prepare beforehand, I find that much better for the less hardy members of our travel group. He's gonna look at the kids.
as I said, the much of the details here you would need to speak with my lord about. He is deliberately kept me in the dark on some things so as to protect me from certain threats, prevent me from saying certain things or words or phrases and such out loud. Uh,
Hmm.
but with me, I would easily be able to take you to my lord, or I can even see about communicating with him to have him meet us somewhere closer than as opposed to taking you all the way to the southern province.
So then, what do we think about making a parade out of this and draw whatever snake is waiting to strike out so that we can cut the head off of it before it stabs us in the back.
I have a feeling it's going to strike or watch us the entire time.
So why not parade it in front of them so that at least we know it's coming and when it's coming?
To clarify, one of the reasons why we travel, why we try to keep this concealed, is not just to put on a good face, but also to keep them safe. There are others besides just the people who we are trying to stop, who might try to take advantage of this situation, might try to take them.
I can be indiscriminate in my
If
protection detail.
Or we could act
you
as
can,
normal so that they think
Uh,
It's
nothing that is
merely
amiss.
an idea.
Just we were throwing them out.
Yes.
We act as normal. I'll get in to meet with the Lord, and we find an entry point another way.
how DM? How familiar with someone do I have to be in order to cast sending with them?
uh, what is the description of the spell?
Can post it in the chat. It says familiar, but like how familiar is familiar? Like, if he tells me about the Lord enough, is that enough, or do I have to have like met him?
Let's see what it's.
Your short message with 25 words left to a creature which with you are familiar. The creature hears a message in its mind, recognizes you as a thunder if it knows you. I would almost say you would have to know the person. However, it specifically says if it
It
knows you,
knows you,
which
right? So that kind of
implies you can send, which to me would imply you can send a spell to a creature that doesn't know you,
As long
but
as I
you
like
know of
know their
them.
name and stuff, right? Like had to have heard of them or talked to them.
yeah. I mean, that's how it sounds.
So I'm gonna ask Keiko
I would
Smith. I mean,
say that if
I was gonna say I'm gonna ask Keiko Smith. I mean,
well,
I could just message your Lord right now and see what he thinks.
certainly try. Um, for the sake of convenience, he can give you a short description of his lord, who he describes as a elven man of almost bronze, almost goldish-like skin, golden hair. He typically wears a very incredibly handsome, more um, much more ruggedly handsome than an elf typically would be. He carries himself with a very noble demeanor. He is a very passionate man about the things which he believes. He typically wears a kind of like a bright pale greenish clothing. He very much has a signature scarf that he wears. Um, and he describes for you more or less the appearance of his lord, and he tells you that he is the Marquis Vel Ibroth, the probably the second most powerful man in the southern province.
Would I ever have interacted or met him at any event or anything while I was mulling about the Imperium?
I would say you've heard of the name certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Interacted with him directly, most of your work would have been kind of on the northern and northeastern side, where you get some of the more like goblin orcish invasions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
you're
was I was
aware that
thinking
there
more.
is.
I was thinking
Go on.
more like he might have been at the ceremony where I received the wings of valor, or the medal of bravery, the shield of bravery, something like that. You know.
You know what? Absolutely. I went ahead and rolled for that, and yes, um, you do recall seeing this man by this description as he described it. He stood out to
Okay.
you especially because the color of his clothes were atypical compared to everyone else, and he was also an elf, and very, very incredibly gorgeous, handsome elf.
Then I'm going to send that. I'm going to minor illusion a picture of him in my hand since I've seen him
Easy enough.
before.
And yeah, you make this illusion of this man.
Him, right? And I'm going to double check with
Him. Yes, actually, surprisingly, are you familiar with Lord Velibroth?
Well, actually, I had noticed him in the crowd when I received this one, and I'm appointed the Shield of Bravery. It was rewarded to me in Tobin's Cross, so quite a few members of the Chantry and the higher nobility were in attendance.
Ah, yes, I remember you.
It's the red coat.
Apologies. I don't know why I didn't recognize you. Yes, no, of course, I remember. I was in attendance as well.
I thank you for
But
your support.
regardless, is that enough for you to be able to cast your spell?
Should find out. That should be 25 words to put in the roll
Um,
20.
okay. Let me switch her back over to that.
25 exactly. Well done.
Thank you.
You send off this spell. Shortly thereafter, actually, this would be targeting Jacob. Does anyone have anything on them that prevents divination magic
No.
or would
Let
block
me
divination
double
magic?
check. I don't think so. Nope.
I do not
Nope.
believe so.
Different character.
Okay. Um. So with 6 seconds later, there is or no, after however long it takes for a scrying spell to go off, Jacob rolls and deliberately chooses to fail a wisdom saving throw. Um, and then shortly thereafter, you receive this message back.
Oh, good.
Um, hold on, I have to measure this now in my own head. Um, I see he's alive. I can meet you in Storad.
What's 10?
Stay under the radar. Whatever radar is.
17,
There we go. And that's it.
20, 22.
How do I turn
Does
this
this
off?
thing turn off?
Yeah, but
Darling?
the funny thing is, you can't turn off sending, so if you don't do
Nope,
it,
it just keeps
the
going.
next 4 words you say in the next sentence is just going to pop over the thing.
All
Are
right, so
are you
I have a
prepared?
plan, I think, to stay under the radar. I
Yes.
think we should have some weight
It's a
added
bridge
to
in
the
the east. Don't worry about it.
I think we should add some weight added to the carriage that Jacob Smith has, as if to make that they're still there, and we will buy our own carriage, go off in a different direction from Jacob with the people, and take the long way. Well, not the long way, but make it seem as if we're taking an alternate route. That way, they don't suspect that anything's off. And if we put the raptor turning elf in the back with them, I'm assuming they're going to be fine given Theros, Fire Tornado, and Raptor.
I have a friend that might be able to help. You're unfamiliar with him so far, but perhaps, perhaps now's the time to introduce you to my most faithful and loyal friend. DM, I use an action to summon Noble Argento.
All right. Let me grab him from the front page. Oh no, he should just be right here.
Noble Argento, if you please.
As you see that appear.
A griffin. It appears outside the hut, because there's no
It
room
is the
inside the
size of a
hut.
small building.
How is that going to help us? There's one, two, three, four. There's a lot of us.
Yes, there's one full sized woman and two half sized children.
So they would ride an Argento while we.
Noble Argento.
Oh, oh.
Everybody I know has a complex about them. It seems.
I've noticed. So they will ride on Noble Argento, and we will pretend that there are people still in the back of the wagon while we travel.
Yes. Noble Argento is one of the swiftest flyers in the world.
Is he easily obscured? Because we should stay under stay under detection.
He is well trained in maintaining stealth, and the clouds prove to be very good obscurement as long as you aren't afraid of heights. Though the saddle, the military saddle he's equipped with, is quite effective at preventing fall.
How many
And
people can ride on Noble Argento?
one medium person and two not medium people would be just fine.
They're still medium people because they're still like the adult size. They're not like the it's not like the elvish progression where it takes them 100 years to reach physical maturity. It's they reach physical maturity by the age of 18 typically. Um, but they're also elves, and elves are typically lighter boned, so they're not typically quite as heavy.
We wouldn't be able to communicate with Noble Argento and them if they were up in the air, though. If someone else can shoot Noble Argento out of the sky or attempt to, I mean, we wouldn't know if he's faster. I almost think
Noble
that maybe,
Argento would very, very quickly pick me up if there was trouble.
well, I'm almost wondering if maybe we should have the kids go with one of us on Noble Argento and leave the mother, who's very capable, it seems, as a distraction since they're after the children, it seems, and not her. Her stint
The
might
children are
deter them.
slightly conscious. Do they speak Common or only Elvish?
They only speak Elvish.
Damn it.
You,
Isolated
shape
culture,
changer, are
very.
you able to change into things with wings? Are you able to fly?
And with that in mind, before I state this, let me just do. Yes, I can.
Well, there's the answer. All three of them can ride, and he can escort. Then you can
Perfect.
maintain a mind connection with him, and that will tell us
Perfect.
everything we need. Then we act as normal, boring guards on a carriage filled with not our quarry.
It works for me, especially because people haven't seen Phelan travel with us before.
Sir Tharros, are you in agreement, my friend?
I think this could work.
Quinn can also fly, so I can send Quinn with Phelan as well.
If all things are considered, I would like to keep Sod the monkey god at my side then.
I agree.
Um,
I'll send
to
Quinn and
fulfill those sorts of things. He is quite
yes.
capable. Would you ask the young lady and her children if they're afraid of heights? Also, from what I understand, you're from deep underground. Are you afraid of heights?
Oh,
Heights? No. Um, be it that there may not
It's not
be.
the fall that gets you, it's the sudden stop at the end, am I right? Ha ha ha.
Well, where I come from, it's so deep that you just keep falling forever. But I can definitely ask them, and I will not have a fear of heights.
I just want to make sure that I'm not roping you into a situation that would make you uncomfortable. If it would, I would be happy to touch the sky once again.
No, please.
I should also be able to stop you from hitting the ground if I can see you.
Well, if anything like that does happen, I would appreciate a soft cushion.
Oh no, you're still going to fall. It just should hurt a whole lot less.
That doesn't make it a whole lot better for me, but that's better than anything at all.
If you die, I can bring you back.
For some reason, it doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence still. But thank you, thank you. I appreciate this otherworldly humor you have.
Well, if you're going to be traveling with us, then you should know very rarely does anything trouble say make you feel with confidence or safety. But she means well and she has a good heart. And she is quite the potent spellcaster.
Still can't summon fire tornadoes though.
I dabble.
I just look at Theros. Are you also a caster of the magic arts?
Him, he's the scariest among us all. He makes me look like an idiot child.
I prefer more of a hands-on method.
Very effective at what he does too. Jacob, if you're in agreement with this plan, I would like to make some additions to your wagon before we go to make it
I once watched
safer.
I once watched Sir Tharros yell at a man until he turned into dust. And above table, if you could think of a better way to explain thunder damage, I would love to hear it.
That works perfectly.
A mighty roar.
Yeah.
All right. No, that it seems. I'm trying not to switch to Greek. That sounds perfectly plausible as long as you can guarantee their safety while they're in the air. That would be most appreciated.
Outside of the errant thunder
Um,
strike, there's not much danger that noble Argento cannot outrun.
Excellent.
Um,
Thank you
do
very
we have a
much.
Drew that we can consult on the weather for the next few days? You said she was Druish.
You're the cultured one.
You can't say that.
But
I wish we had someone who had no like social skills who was acting as the translator and they are translating that. I wish that was the case. I really wish that was the case.
all right. Actually, let's see here. Actually, can I determine the weather? Can I roll for that instead?
It's a
Do you
druid
have
craft
druid
thing.
craft?
That's what I'm aiming at.
Let's see here. Druid craft. Do I possess it? Ah, that is not.
Actually, you're filled with all sorts of talents. I'm gonna turn to Sienna. Are you part Druish?
That's like part Druish. Well, no, I'm not part Druish. I am.
Oh no, you've already established that you're a full-blooded Druid. I was asking Sienna if she was part Druish and was able to do the Druish craft.
Actually, yeah.
You have druid craft?
I have Thorn Whip too, because
Oh,
the
what?
witches get access to green.
Oh wow.
Damn.
I
I
knew it. That
did not possess.
explains so much.
Oh, I did not possess Druidcraft. Oh my.
Great spell to get when you get a chance.
Oh yes,
It's
it,
with the
Phenomenal.
prestidigitation of druids.
Yep.
It's because the red witches, one of the witch circles for the occultist, is green magic, and you get access to all of them, but the green witches get it automatically. I get to pick from the druid list as well as wizards and stuff.
let's see
That's
here.
cool.
All right.
It's a really
Okay,
cool
because I
class.
have Thorn Whip. I have Thorn Whip, so I can Thorn Whip people into my spirit guardians.
All right. This is really weird. My watch just beeped with a weather update.
Here's Sienna breaking the
Theros, a
third
mysterious
wall.
wristwatch has appeared on your wrist.
let's see.
you
Going
know,
to going to rain and
you
some
know what?
muddy.
Yes,
Based on the
Heiko,
Hampshire.
she casts druid craft, and it's hey, look at my wrist. It's gonna rain.
A little storm cloud appears on his wrist.
Heiko communicates this request to Genosha, and she takes a moment, casts something, and then hurls it at Theros. And now there's a little wood root like wristwatch on your wrist, and it pops up with the weather for the next 24 hours. Which for the next 24 hours, it is looks like it's going to be cloudy, light rain. Roughly, let's see. I said the time of year is summer. So at this elevation, it's going to be just in like the low mid 70s, might peak up to 80.
Thunderstorm warning.
Nothing as of yet.
We should be
That's
fine.
that's 2 days from now. That's two
Yeah.
days from now.
We can check again tomorrow, and if there's a thunderstorm warning, well, we'll just walk that. Lightning strikes travel really far in the air, guys. If you're above 30,000 feet, it's like 25 miles.
Well, we should be good for weather-wise. So
10,000.
I do have something I have to do in the morning pertaining to, and I point to the corpse. Pertaining to the
You
Yes,
you
that's right. Are we
point
going to
over
tell
at
him what
the
we're?
corpse.
Oh,
You point over at the corpse in the tent, and Caspian, as you kind of glance over, oh god, the face is uncovered again.
there's something strange going on, and I don't like it. And I immediately draw my pistol and point it at the corpse.
You are pointing your gun. You guys see Caspian point his gun at the corpse.
Like I'm doing that whole like I draw the pistol, I turn around, the red coat flares, like the whole big draw.
why
Uh,
it's a corpse.
what's
While you
it's
were
dead.
off gallivanting, I had looked over and this corpse was in this position, and I, by my own hand, fixed it, covered him back up, covered his face, closed the tin flap, and yet here it stands, staring at us once again, like an otherworldly spy or invisible ears.
Let's see here. DM.
Do I need all the body parts in order to speak with dead?
I believe it needs to be able to speak. Let me
So it
double
doesn't
check.
need its eyes or ears?
Well, if it doesn't have its ears, it can't hear your question.
Not if you're telepathic.
Yeah. So what the spell essentially does is it. Well, there's no mind. Uh,
Dang it.
let's see. So score slow spell fails if the corpse was targeted spell within the last 10 days. So spell ends. You can ask a question. Corpse is under no compulsion to offer truthful answers if you are hostile to it or recognizes you as an enemy. Um, the spell doesn't return the creature's soul to its body, only its animating spirit. So the implication is that it needs to be able to somehow speak. Needs to be somehow able to actually communicate. So if you say removed its lower jaw or ripped out its tongue, it wouldn't be able to speak. Um, if you want to cut off just the head, that would technically be perfectly fine. You would still be able to get it out of the head.
With my offhand, I punch the other one. So I've got the pistol pointed at it. With my offhand, I punch it in the head.
There's the nice little squelch as you just smack this corpse. You all
I'm
stare
gonna have
silently
I
at it.
say stare, and then I'm gonna ask Quinn telepathically to start to look around to scan the room without moving and being noticed to see if the invisible person's in here or nearby.
Actually,
Have,
sorry, go ahead.
nope, go for it.
All right, DM. I have the observant feat, and with my passive perception or my passive investigation score, do I notice anything particular?
Uh, what is your passive perception? That's like stupid high, right? Yeah, 23. Um, I mean, you haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary passively occurring around you. Um, yeah. You haven't really noticed any other movement or anything else going on. If I can get a perception check from Quinn.
I did
Uh,
19, and you can detect
19.
invisibility up to 60 feet.
or poison.
Quinn does not see anything in the immediate area. It does not appear to be that there is anything nearby.
Is it infected with that flesh stitching weirdness that woman had?
Oh, that's true. We never checked for that.
You never checked for that?
No, we were busy.
You
Fire
had
tornado. When would I
two
have had
jobs.
time?
Exactly. I was busy doing that. You didn't check?
He was in the middle of the fire tornado. No, I didn't check.
You're obsessed with that thing.
Tharos couldn't make it through the fire tornado, which means I can't make it through the fire tornado.
I have a lot of questions about this fire tornado.
It's exactly
Questions
like it
can be
sounds.
don't question.
It's exactly like it sounds.
My word. But besides that,
I should go check the thing, and I'm gonna go check.
Okay. Easy enough. You don't even really need to roll for it. All the wounds on this guy, besides an insane amount of burns, bruises, what looks like just a shearing of like a portion of his flesh off from the one teleport that you did. What looks like electrical burns around his actual head from the backside. Um, Marcus the Breath Stealer does not appear to have any living tissue that's trying to stitch him back together. Does not appear to be trying to, for all intents and purposes, he appears to be dead. There's a recent
I'm
contusion to the side of his head, but
I'm going to try to reach out telepathically to the corpse because he was psionic-ish. He said as much.
you reach out to this corpse with your mind, looking for something, anything to indicate whatever you may be trying to see. Is he moving on his own? Is someone else doing this? Is this thing actually still alive somehow? But you find emptiness. There is no consciousness in this body.
That makes me
And
uncomfortable.
as you do that, you feel briefly, almost like it's just right next to your ears, someone whisper, "What are you looking for?"
This man served a master.
That's all you
And
heard.
I seek parley.
You cast this out
Hmm.
and nothing. No
I'm
response.
going to like visibly like shake my shoulders and look around and this
If you're
just got
uncomfortable,
stranger.
I would say if you're uncomfortable, that doesn't bode well.
Well, you are in the room, so that's pretty standard for the course.
Thanks. Anyway, Phelan, I'm gonna
I'm
start
going to.
describing. I'm gonna
Oh
start. I was
God.
gonna start describing the creepy stuff that the woman did, the like flesh crafting stuff, and see if he's familiar with it. Since he's from places I've never been, maybe he's heard of it, or tales of stretch from the captors that he's familiar with, or something, or
What
something
she
like that.
describes to you is a woman of pale skin and blackened eyes who seem to be able to control her flesh, mold her own flesh, extend it almost like spines. In one circumstance, she describes that she grew wings, seemingly made of just her own flesh. Um, Spines, spikes. She could throw these things out, and she also tells you that they had found soldiers who had apparently some of this flesh inside their wounds that looked to be holding up, slowing down their healing, as it almost seemed to try and stitch and grow inside of them. Um,
oh my.
I mean, go ahead and I would say make a. You can make either a nature check or an arcana check.
Okay. Did it roll? Oh, there it is. Just caught up.
Going down 22. Very nice. With the 22 via arcana, um, there are mutations that occur in the deep. You know of this. It was um there are various different aberrant monstrosities that occur. Creatures that don't even that seem to just appear, seem to just form from seemingly nothing. Your people to this day don't know where some of these creatures come from. And there are some creatures who, yes, they do have a almost amorphous nature to their flesh, as if they're able to reshape it, reform it, creating tools, instruments. Your people know of things such as oozes and mimics who are able to change their even the texture of their form, the color and texture of their form. But something that is sentient, like this woman, nothing that you're familiar with occurring, quote, naturally, as natural as an aberrant creature could be. But if this was the circumstance, this would be either some other freak occurrence or possibly something intentional, something someone strove to achieve.
Okay. This
And
woman.
just because I like reading the text and stuff, Theros flips the body face down and blindfolds it. Caspian hoists his ivory pistol, but does not turn from it. He looks back at Theros and nods in approval. Sienna will put Pogo's socks in his ears and mouth. I like your guys' text stuff. I like going through and reading this.
Well, I imagine as like I see like Theros like covering its eyes and flipping it over just like, oh, just in case he can see us, and like looking, oh wait, he might be able to hear us. Okay, hold on, and I just just in case he's.
And be aware, I do have
That's great.
this chat window popped up on our stream, so people can read it if they want.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
So be mindful of what you type.
Yes. If you're gonna be spicy, do it in Discord.
That's on the Patreon.
$5, please.
He's no. The problem is he's not lying. There is a
There's a
Patreon.
Patreon.
He's not lying.
Okay. But
Join
let's
us
see.
on Facebook and type Vavavoom to find out where.
All right.
Just
Anyway,
in.
Phelan.
Okay. Phelan says back. None of the creatures that I've ever seen before does something like this, unless it's some sort of ooze, mimic, slime, aberrant creature, which I highly doubt this would be. Whatever this woman you're describing to me too, it's definitely not natural. It's some sort of freak of nature. I can't even begin to fathom. I've never heard something like this before. If this is like we described to me, was there any particular features elsewhere on the woman, or is this all you know of?
That's all we know of her. She was working with, and I point to the corpse that we just muffled,
Punched.
and he seemed to be working for her. They showed up at the same time, so I imagine they know each other, but she seemed more in charge than him. He knew an old associate of mine, which so I assumed she was more higher up in whatever organization. I don't know if she was even in the organization as much as uh he was just hired to help or get involved somehow, but I'd never seen any of those abilities before, but given as she could shift almost her form, and you can shift your form, I didn't know if this was an ability that the captors have and there's going to be more like her, or but she was very interested in the carriage. They both were.
unless we can somehow figure out more information, I think this will be a dead end then.
Oh no, we're going to speak to him tomorrow. That's why we're guarding him.
Very well then.
We can ask him 3 questions if I was told correctly. The cleric said. So we have 3-ish questions to ask him.
My dear noble friend, do you have any suggestion on these questions? Perhaps we should focus our attention onto that. What are the 3 questions that are going to be asked? Trouble.
One of them was what he knew about the associate that we had in common, to see if he was involved too. Because if they're involved in this bigger thing than I had thought, then it's a very big problem. This organization has holdings in most cities, and they've recently stretched to the Imperium.
Balderdash.
Is that the
So,
place?
Your
no,
GM requests that you type the questions into the chat bar. That way, I can record and have specific answers should they
I'm stalling for
depending on your
time.
questions.
I had the questions last week, and I'm stalling for time now. As would Sienna, I imagine she's like trying to avoid the questions Saren asked and just going, skirting around it.
But back to business then. Since this thing is fucking weird, we have a plan of action. We have a course in which to do it. We have tasks to accomplish tomorrow. As for the rest of the night, what else do you require of us, Haven?
Um, for the rest of the night, I would like to ensure that they are able to eat and drink and be able to get the rest they need. For this evening, it seems that we have a plan for tomorrow. I can, if you're able to keep them safe in the meantime, I can see about getting them more, better appropriate clothes for traveling out in the open. Uh, and we can depart whenever your business here in the city is done.
They will be perfectly safe within this hut. They will be mildly safe anywhere else in the city.
All right. Um, very well. Do you require anything for out here? Do you require blankets? Do you require pillows? I can see what I can get from the inn.
It's quite comfortable in the hut here. I think we'll be fine.
Okay. Well, with that, that is it as far as what Jacob would be concerned with. He's more, in a large sense, very relieved that things have gone so well. Um, in someone finding out about what the situation is going on. But the evening is more or less your guys's. It is going late into the night at this point.
I'm
Do we
going to
wish?
sit down and just sort of go into my long rest.
Same.
Okay.
Curl back up with Pogo.
I just sort of sit down and place my back against something, and I just sort of stop talking and look out.
I'm gonna ask Quinn to watch while we're asleep, just in case.
But, but Miss Belfort, it's a cat pile.
We can
He points
switch
at Thera.
out. We can
It's
switch
fine, Quinn.
out.
I've got the watch.
He's got the watch.
All right, Quinn, fine.
Immediately dives into the pile, snuggles up in the space right between like Theros' neck and Pogo's. By the way, there's that other tabaxi is just has been laying on the ground this entire time, passed out, Phelan. And you just see Theros, this giant muscular lion figure, lay down, put well, like just like scoop Pogo closer in, almost like a teddy bear, and Pogo rotates around and snuggles into the warmth.
You just see him like just sort of like he makes like an awe face. It's like, oh, that's kind of cute. As he sort of slumps down, and he just sort of like lets the woman and her two kids be and let them stay together for a bit. And he's just gonna like sit away from them, and he's just gonna lie down, place his stick on the ground, and he's just gonna like slowly like drift away. But like he is like staying, like he is like trying to stay awake as long as he possibly can because he doesn't want to like immediately fall asleep in someone else's tent immediately. He still has apprehension, so he's just looking around, seeing how everything goes, and after like a decent period of time, then he like falls asleep. Essentially, just falls asleep last.
Okay.
I would say it's really hard to stay awake with the loud purring coming from the cat pile.
That's like a nice little white noise machine after a little while. All right. So sleep, sleep, sleep. Sienna, were you taking to sleep or were you doing anything else before you begin your long rest?
Let's see. He had casted alarm earlier. We have Layman's tiny hut. I think that's good. I don't think I have anything I could do or do onto
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh man, I forgot about that. Whenever Theros moves the body, it starts ringing very loudly
Uh, okay.
until I tell it to
I
shut
would
up.
recast. I would recast alarm if we need be then.
All right, easy enough. You take the time, you wire this body once more, and it is now very thoroughly alarmed, face down, blindfolded, socks in its mouth, ears. That if this thing is somehow some sort of extrasensory perception area thing, no one's gonna see anything, and they're just gonna get a sock mouth taste to their mouth.
Excuse me.
But with that said, you all take to a long rest. And I finally get to the parts that I was meaning to get to last week, but no one wanted to go to sleep. So, as dreams come to you, Theros, at last you are home, Theros. And just in time, by the way. You walk down the hall dressed in the golden garments of a groom, your brother Apollo, your best man, right next to you as he fusses over to make sure your robes are correct. He's reminding you of the ceremony's events. He's going off and on you about making sure you know the steps to the wedding dance. You pass by your sister, Thea, who's giving orders to the kitchen staff, while your other sister, Rhea, tries to corral your youngest brother, Alistair, who has, of course, refused to wear his garb and is now running through the palace completely naked, much to your father's annoyance and your mother's amusement. You make your way down the hall and you finally come to the ceremonial chamber. At last, the time has come to meet your betrothed. This woman whom you have been destined for so many years, for so much of your life. It has been some time, but anticipation is building up inside of you. Eventually, the procession begins. You see your bride, her face concealed behind her veil. She reaches you. She takes your hands, you hers. Her veil is lifted, and you see the box from Demiurge. Only now, there is an eye that is opened amidst the rotting and fungal covered wood of this box that you had been placed inside for what felt like eternity. Your bride grabs your hands by the wrists, and in a terrible voice you hear, "How I've missed you, sweetie. No one's ever filled me up like you have. Give us a kiss." And in horror, somehow, no, even as you try to yell and try to scream, her grip is insanely strong. You are lifted up as she lowers her head, the gaping hole that is the top of the box seeming to expand as you are lowered into a mouth of rows of teeth and tongues that reach for you as you disappear into a dark, wet, endless hole. And you wake up in the middle of the night, Pogo having moved up and somehow having wrapped his arms around your face. You're awake. Everyone else here appears to be still at rest. You take a moment. You calm your heartbeat. It's just a dream. just a dream. As you look around, you see your companions, Saren, Sienna, Pogo, the elves. There's a box in the tent. What do you do?
Separate the Ray from the Tharros. Ray's like, I'm in a place nothing can get to me. I'll stay here. Tharros.
No, no, no. The box is inside the hut.
Oh, it looks like the box I had to hide in.
Looks like a very clean wooden box. I mean, roughly the same size, but doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it. Looks to be just a very nice, clean. There's even a nice scent of pine. You feel like, which is immediately covered up by the citrusy smell of the tent.
Um, do I see tracks around it? Do I
It's
see?
just a box sitting in the middle of this hut.
If I watch it intently, do I see it move in any way?
He
There's
doesn't seem to be moving. Doesn't seem to be breathing. It just appears to be a perfectly ordinary, freshly carved wooden box.
letters writing on it.
Not that you can see, unless you want to stand up and check the top of it.
Yeah.
As you stand up, you look, and there appears to be a note on the top of it that says, "To my beloved."
Recognize the handwriting?
I'd say no, not really. You're not too into calligraphy. I wouldn't imagine. It's it's very like spirally curly, it's very fancy.
Um, gently pluck the note.
Comes off very easily. Feels like paper.
Is it just to my beloved on it?
It's
Nothing else.
just a piece of paper on the top that says "To my beloved."
Glaive in one hand.
You open up the box, kind of keeping the glaive, kind of keeping a little bit of a distance. Say, there's a nice, weird, strange scent that comes out of it. You can't quite place it. Do you look inside the box?
What's in the box?
As you lean forward, it's really dark around here. You look in, and a pair of gnarly hands shoot out, grab you by the head, and drag you into the box. And then you wake up for real this time.
uh,
Morning approaches soon. Good morn, my ally.
have you
You
have
seem to
you
have awakened first.
have you ever seen the cartoons where the cat gets scared and claws into the ceiling? Sir Tharros like jumps, like lurches out of bed. Quinn goes flying. Pogo goes the other direction. And he is, and Theros is in a fight stance, and Captain Kazu, you see him wake up, and he's in this mode, and the tattoos on him are blazing with the bronze color. So is his eyes.
Breathe, breathe. You're perfectly safe.
That was terrifying.
But are you normally prone to yes?
No, I am not. Uh, no. It was
He holds up a hand and he says, "It was but a dream,
Mm,
and not real.
it felt
Let's
like
not scare the children.
it felt like more.
The worst ones always do."
Uh, if I wasn't already, I'm a little nervous. Uh,
There was tell of gods who speak to their followers and friends and servants by dreams. Is that how your gods work? Your Panthera? I
Panthera.
don't remember his name. Leo?
Panthera.
That. Forgive
Uh,
my ignorance. Is that
uh,
how he communicates with his acolyte and
uh,
chosen? I once heard that there's no king that rules without the blessing of a god.
true. It's not particularly. It's more signs, omens.
He's
Less.
a sun god, right?
Yes, yes, the sun, the god of the sun.
Hmm.
There's a lion in also in figure, uh, as as like I am. It
So no dreams then.
But it's not a terrible possibility. It is a god after all. They do what is they please.
Effectively, that's why they're special.
Uh,
I seem that I find myself in agreement. Freedom is like God.
okay, maybe back down there a little. But I see your point. It is I dreamed of the box I hid in. It was my betrothed, which I haven't met yet. And
You
then
haven't met the woman you're going to marry.
it's royalty. It's a promise from a young age.
Wait, so you're going to marry a woman you just met?
Hopefully, that would be a meeting before the wedding day. But
I'm sorry. Please continue. I didn't
yes,
mean to interrupt.
Games of Thrones later.
You can't marry a man you just met. You can obviously marry a woman you just met.
But then, then I woke here, and the box was here, a fresh pine box with a note to my beloved. I opened it, and two foul hands reached out, grabbed me, pulled me into the box. It was the box from the Demiurge box. You remember the fish one? The fish one.
Yes, I imagine that was quite unenjoyable.
Yes, I can see why I dreamed of that, but it's the pride and the hands. It requires some thinking.
Do you know her name? Where she's from? Is she uh a Leonin like you?
She was Leonin. Names are special in my country. Uh,
Right, you once told me you had to earn your the other half of you, right?
yes, yes, and it is something to be shared between two people.
I meant no disrespect. My
Okay,
studies on T'Pol are very limited.
no, it's fine.
I've never gone to war with you, so I don't know very much about you.
I would not want to, but it is not. No offense is taken, none. But she is from the royal family of the daughter of the king of paradise.
Ah,
But and for
well, if
long,
something is sending you unpleasant dreams, um, hopefully, it being as unpleasant as that is, was not a message from your gods
I
or anyone else's.
Pantera, I hope not. But that see, as he has blessed us with his light, should we wake the rest and proceed with talking with the dead man?
Very well. DM, I'm gonna flip the body over to make the alarm go off.
Okay. Before we do that,
Oh, sorry.
Sienna, your dreams come to you. A red haired woman dances around a fire, wearing a dress of rich purple and deep red, the cloth swirling around her as if made of liquid rather than silk. She is adorned in golden coins. Her necklace, earrings, bracelets, even her hair ornaments, a clatter of coins that jingle as she dances. Directly in front of you is a man sitting with his back turned towards you, watching her enraptured. And you can feel the swirling mass of love and desire that flows between the two of them. She drags him to his feet and pulls him to the fire, and you hear the jeering of men and women, but as you look around, you see no one. The two dance together. The man nervous at first, but encouraged as the woman whispers words you cannot hear. You're not sure how long they dance. And then the man pulls her close into an embrace. She leans up to whisper something in his ear, but suddenly her eyes glow with a silvery light that you are very familiar with. And she turns her eyes towards you, looking you in the eye as you hear her say, "Save me, my beloved." And you see a dark and monstrous shadow appear behind the couple, numerous glowing red eyes glaring down upon the woman. And you awaken. Coincidentally, just as a body is flipped over, an alarm is set off.
Because it's my alarm too, so I'd get woken up.
Yep.
He did that on purpose.
I did.
And you have to quickly duck as a flying pogo whizzes by your head.
Dude.
Pogo has somehow landed in a tree just outside of this tent, outside of this hut, and is still asleep, but has somehow like bent around one of these branches as kittens can just don't have bones apparently.
It's it's just before dawn. It's time to get started. My, what a pretty face you've given me first thing in the morning. You're so pretty in the morning. I
So
guess
I
the real
assume
question
the
is,
alarm was triggered for nothing.
it was your alarm to wake up. Did you do an audible alarm or a silent alarm?
Probably would have been audible.
Mhm.
Understood.
Everyone kind of jolts awake.
Thank you
Genosha,
for
who
that,
who does not make
Saren.
Genosha has meditated through the night, but the two elven children are young enough that they still haven't quite learned how to trance properly, so they wake up from actual sleep. Um, you, of course, Phelan, you've listened to this whole conversation between Sarah and Theros because you were done with your long rest like 4 hours ago.
I was just paying
We were
attention.
just staring at each other for 4 hours while we were waiting for everyone else.
It's like, so the coat, I like it. How'd you get it?
I bought it from a shop because it looked nice and it's durable. The metals on the coat are a different story
Ah,
because he's got like the picture. His chest has three big medals across them, and they are shined and well kept.
it's like the medals. Which one is your favorite?
He's well. I would have to say that these here, the wings of honor, and it's two wings. I have pictures that I could show you of the wings in the Discord somewhere of each of these three metals.
I think they're pretty high. They're high up in like the. I don't know where they're at.
But
We've put so many memes into this
yeah,
channel.
they were. I was awarded this after the aerial duel of Storm Skies.
Oh, that must have been quite a conflict then. What kind of I've never really partaken in casual conversation all that much. You probably can tell I haven't been out a lot. Uh, as he just sort of begins to like stutter and begins to like find reasons to have a conversation with you, as he's just sort of looking for things to talk about. As he just scans up and down your uniforms, like, uh, the creature you summoned, it was beautiful. Are there other creatures just like it?
Yes, I'm the commander of a unit of air cavalry, Griffin Riders, for the Imperial military. There's quite a number of us under my command that are awaiting their orders. Uh,
Griffins.
Griffins, yes, in particular war griffins, raised and bred by the Imperial military for aerial operations. In particular, along the northern edge, uh, many of our trade routes are prone to attacks from sky pirates, manticore riders, griffin poachers.
That sounds like a
Uh,
heroic story. There were some that some source I would read when I was younger as a child. I would hear sometimes in some of the text that some of these creatures that had these elongated fangs or that had different appendages, like could stand tall, walk on their two hind legs, fly, breathe fire, and do all these sorts of mystical things. When I first came here, everything seemed primitively new. Um, the wolves were mostly the same, though they don't really glow.
you speak of dragons, and we have just finished rendering services to a particularly powerful set. Uh,
Dragons.
Perhaps, if our paths crossed that way, I'd get the opportunity to introduce you. She seemed quite keen to me, and they are great allies to have.
I will assume so. Their power and might, as far as I can understand, is different from most things. Although there seem to be very intelligent creatures. Although, for what I can tell, they don't exactly, for what I've read, don't exactly seem very keen on the life that seems to be, well, smaller than them, for lack of a better word.
As most predators are.
Well, that I can definitely attest to in some ways, but it's just a natural cycle of things.
It
He
is.
just
You wouldn't fault a wolf or a tiger for attacking an antelope any more than you would fault a dragon for attempting to rule over people. Unfortunate as that is for the antelope.
as fortunate as it is for
Yes.
the antelope. Although I would hope I'll never be the antelope if I could help it.
You and I both, Phelan.
Just sort of like stands up a little bit and he just sort of like he just sort of like he takes like his hand like through his hair and he begins to like try to like comb like press it back and like gets in front of his face. Uh by any chance you have anything I could use to tie it up real quick? It's relatively long. I haven't had a chance to maintain it.
I have an extra set of clothes if you'd like an entire set. I don't know how close to my size Phelan is. Saren is he stands up. He's 6'4". He's about 220 pounds.
They'd be
Phelan
a
is like,
little loose. They'd probably be a little loose on Phelan.
yeah,
What's
this
Phelan's size and dimensions?
uh Phelan is 5'9".
So they'd probably be a little. They'd probably be a little loose on you, but that's also nothing that you're not unused to.
Okay. Says, well, if you can give me some clothes and some garments, I'd appreciate it. It's been quite a few days. I have been using the same clothes for quite some time. Although they're
Do
not
you have any
expect.
money?
Um, in terms of money that could be used, I I have things that could be
You've been able
traded.
to acquire.
If
You've
the
been able
answer
to
is no, the
acquire. I
answer
would.
is no, and that's okay too. I was going to give you
You've been able to. You've been able to acquire over the course of your time up here, relatively around 150 gold.
50 gold. Okay.
Yeah, you're still
Okay.
getting used to the concept of money from the surface world. Deep elves typically run on trade.
Yeah.
If you ever require any, as long as we're traveling together, I can help you.
Well, I have a tough time understanding the value of things here. We usually spend most of our time trading. Um, it's kind of hard to understand with these. It just shows up like a gold piece. How much is this worth? By any chance, do you know any garments that could be worth perhaps only a few of these? Still be savory for me. Rather if it not be torn against the bricket of the forest if I were to press against it.
That outfit I just gave you is worth about one of those, and it should maintain. Then again, if you were to turn into a giant monster shapeshifter, those clothes won't last. Um, then again, I don't know how yours did, but regardless, they should suit you well for the most of your travels. They're hard to clean. They're well made, but they're
Uh,
worth about one of those. For reference, a normal man's labor is worth about five of those per 10 day per week. Does your world use weeks or 10 days, Mason?
I'm sorry.
Does your world
Say that
use
one more
weeks
time.
or 10 days?
Weeks,
Weeks. Okay, so
because that's
about five
convenient.
a week.
It's convenient to stick for weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Says, okay. Well, I'm starting to understand at least a bit of what it's like then. So people work for metal. Fascinating. Well, if this could ascertain me some goods, then please, whenever you get a chance to get to the market, please do show me. I would love to get a brand new pair of clothes, and I believe my shoe is currently, at least the bottom of my shoe is currently falling out. I would rather
Hmm.
see if I can get rid of some of the gravel if I could help it.
Well, the market should be opening soon. It looks like dawn's only about an hour or so. I'll be waking up the troops before too long, and this will be the last market that we pass for quite some time before we head out. So it'd be a good day to do that.
We also receive a discount at the shop in town.
Discount. How much is this discount?
She didn't say, so I imagine not much, but we receive a discount if one of the three of us goes with you.
Well, that would be great then. If you
I'm
can
sure
definitely show
Sienna
me
would
around.
love the opportunity to dress you up.
I cannot. I must speak with the dead.
I still find that perplexing. How does someone do
So,
that?
Necromancy magic usually allows a corpse to speak if given the mouthpiece and tongue are there, from my understanding.
Well, I imagine the dead have a heart as cold as hers. So they're kindred spirits.
Last time I checked, I still had mine.
Phelan just sort of like,
so just to be clear, I don't know if you. So just for Nos's benefit, Nos, I don't know if you watched any of the Demiurge stuff, but Caspian literally doesn't have his heart.
Neither
Uh,
does Theros.
Yeah,
Either
no,
does
I
Theros. Their
lost my heart
hearts,
saving Sienna's life.
yeah, um, literally got it ripped out by a god and replaced with a rock that circulates their blood using magnetism.
Yeah, but when she says, "At least I have mine," I'll say, "Oh, do you? Can I check?" And I'm gonna pull out a dagger.
I just sort of like dart between the two of them, and it's like,
And then I just smile and put it up.
I see. Yeah, there's plenty of adventures you all have, including with the missing. Am I understanding correctly? A missing heart, is that also true? Just like the firestorm, or is that just a joke?
I will open my buttons and show him. Knock
There
on it,
is
and you'll hear
a
the sound of rock, just like my eye. It seems the gods are bound in intent to make sure that I am cast in stone forever. But then again, why wouldn't? And then he gives a big smile.
It's like for all my years, I've never heard of someone turning to stone, unless in this weird serpentine creature. Uh, well, if a god cursed you, perhaps there's a cure of some sort. Maybe another god can undo its curse.
Perhaps I'm not much for religiosity.
Hmm.
However, I am. You told us your strengths. You're Druish, and having a Druid along will be a great boon for it. And you transform into monsters, and shape changes are always useful. Sienna is particularly talented at spellcraft and stabbing things in their sleep. Sir Tharros' strengths are quite obvious by his strength of arm. Um, I am an expert at military tactics and at shooting. I'm a wonderful marksman, and I'm pretty good predicting my opponent's next move.
That's excellent. I've never really had much conversation with some of the warriors of my tribe. I usually spend most of my time in solitude. I would sometimes study, but this is great. That means I can listen and please do tell me if I don't know how this planning of warfare works. I have only just been in confrontation with beasts. They're very different as far as I can tell with other humanoids.
Oh yes, but we're currently not at war. If I were to go to war, I assure you, everyone would see something new. This is playing at peace. Currently, my assignment is to go around to the neighboring kingdoms and extend the goodwill and hospitality of the Mother Imperium to the world.
The
This is
mo-
me being nice.
the Mother Imperium just sort of like questions.
It's a
You
country, continent
you've heard a
thing.
little bit of the Imperium as you've been traveling around on your own. They're a massive nation, a series of cities that are all in cooperation with each other and obey the same laws. They swear loyalty to a this person whom they call the Althermor, their king, their leader, their chief. Um, so you have a vague idea of the Imperium as from the notes I sent you on the Imperium, so you can reference that if you need to.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay then. Well then, that sounds actually quite. Actually, that's from what I've heard from the Imperium. It seems one heck of a nation. If my ever journey ever takes me there, if our journeys take us there, you can show us around.
Yeah, that's actually where they said we're headed, down towards the southern provinces of the Imperium. So we'll see what happens. But, it would be nice to walk civilized and safe streets once more. These freed lands are truly everything I've heard.
All right. As you state that, Phelan's just going to see if he can like go outside and see if he can wash his face real quick, rug up his hair, change everything he can, and he will just sort of sit outside and witness this whole thing for with Theros. And he just flings the the tabaxi from one side of the room to the other.
So as we catch up with everyone waking up, um, everyone preparing for the day. For the sake of brevity, because Sienna has these lovely questions already all prepped and ready to go, you take the body to the priests, the missionary and his son being the actual caster of this spell, caster of this ritual, his father walking him through him and supporting and encouraging him as this magic begins to unfold, and for a brief moment, you see almost what looks like a four-pointed star, which then begins to bend, almost looking like a true living star, a sphere of pure radiant light. Floating in the air behind him with these almost with four almost ribbon-like arms stretching out and then down to this body as it empowers an animating spirit once more into the corpse of Marcus. After, of course, you guys have taken the opportunity to remove all the restrictions on him so he can actually hear and speak. But this energy, this divine power fills the corpse, fills this body as it takes in a breath. And you may ask your question.
The first question I have is tell me everything you know about Eamon Lockhart.
Eamon Lockhart. That bastard got me thrown out. Got me cast out from Rouge. Filed complaint after complaint about me doing my job correctly. Clients died. That was the job. That was the purpose. Eamon Lockhart is trash and shouldn't be trusted.
That's pretty straightforward. Tell me everything you know about Ileana the Flesh Shaper.
Hmm. Pretty woman when she's not covered in spines. She was sent to keep an eye on me after they made the changes. So much power, and they'd worried I was going to step out of line. But it was good having her there. She helped keep the bandits in line. She helped keep things on track. I knew she was a spy, but I didn't mind having her around.
Tell me everything you know about the person who sent you against the Black Wagon.
At this question, the body shivers for a moment, shakes, as if there's some repulsion or fear. That is a man no one could know about so casually, so easily. He goes by the name of Locke. I don't think it's his real name. He is a monster in the body of a man. Or woman, I don't know. He always wears a mask. But I've never been so scared of someone, and I've stood in front of Dumont himself.
Who do you and Ileana work for?
It was part of the payment for my change, but I was working for Locke. He made me better, so I did him a favor. He gave me freedom to work in that, which was agreeable. But I served myself. He was just convenient for this.
Finally, what surprises await someone who stands against your faction?
Do you wish to alter this question at all, given some of the information you've heard?
Maybe. I was thinking about asking about a
The body twitches. The magic that's animating it is coming to its final last leg. What is your final question?
what were you going to do with the people in the wagon?
See if we could turn a profit from the woman. Kids. Locke wanted the kids. He wanted the kids back for whatever reason. I don't know. It didn't make sense. Probably for another some twisted experiment. They like elves for that. Elves are easy to work with. almost as easy as humans. And the spell begins to fade. The animating spirit leaving the body. But there's a moment in the midst of it where the body seems to, the head rotates. The eyes begin to focus. And as he becomes lifeless once more, he rests on the ground, and his gaze is fixed on Saren.
Fucker. So, for her, speak with dead. Was it only she heard all of that, or did we all hear all of that?
So the ritual is being performed by the priest. She is asking the questions. It is spoken of in common.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are able to hear everything that is being said.
Okay. I just
throughout
wanted to
this.
double check.
Yeah, you
I'm
guys
going
receive
to.
all the same information.
Hmm,
I'm gonna turn to Saren. If his powers were a gift from Locke, how did you get yours? Was it from the same person?
I don't have any powers.
Fire tornado.
Specialty ammunition from the Imperium. And I'm going to pull out a very
Multiple
fancy looking bullet.
says fire tornado on the side.
Seeing my past through my head.
Lucky guess.
Looking at my own memories and being able to translate Dwarvish through my memories, which I don't speak Dwarvish.
2 lucky guesses.
Bullshit.
And I'm going to look at the priest and I'm going to say, I'm a perfectly normal.
Sure. We're part of the chantry. We're part of the church. While some of the things that the body just said are concerning, um, you have protection as confessional protection, unless it's very blatantly illegal, which there are no laws here, so there really isn't anything that's blatantly illegal. Um, your secrets are safe with us.
I was never privy to a gift from anyone.
Of
If
course, sir.
that's your
Exactly as
line
you
of
say.
question, Sienna.
Then how did you get the eye?
How did I get stabbed in the face with a crystal?
Yes.
My, why don't we talk about the most traumatic thing you've ever experienced? And then we can talk about how I was physically maimed on my face by a giant rock.
If it's the same person that did it to Marcus, it would
It's
be
not.
Behevolet. That's all I wanted to know.
Like I said, I was given no gifts.
Okay.
I wasn't born special like either of you two. I earned everything I had to get. Or found it myself. I'm not royalty, and my parents weren't anybody outside of the normal. With secret bloodline, I was just another member of the military, of the army, on assignment. And what happened to me could have happened to anyone who was there.
And your bravery and sacrifice is well noted and appreciated.
It's not about bravery or sacrifice, my friend. I'm just not entirely prepared to talk about the most traumatic thing that ever happened to me when I lost My first body part, because apparently I lost my second body part when I was saving your life. I just look at Sienna.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a connection between you and Marcus, given the similar abilities.
If there was, he took it with him to his grave. It's remarkable that the leader of this town has red hair.
Is it?
Quite remarkable. Tell me, what connections do you have to her?
We might share a similar ability, maybe, possibly. But you're already aware of that, considering, you read my memories shortly after meeting me.
Well, I do believe that this Purple Joust has been fun and the information gathered is useful, but we have things we need to do, friends. Perhaps we.
Right. No time like now to get to work.
Yes.
Thank you, brother, father,
Uh,
acolyte.
uh, yes, you may call me father. Once the church is built, that'll be official. Thank you. Um, you may the light guide your day. Okay, let's go back to finishing breakfast with your mother. Okay. They step away, and with that, as you guys have this brief tense moment, Saren, you're a little bit on edge. You feel a little on edge,
That's what I was
and
told.
part of that, and part of that might have to do with the fact that shortly after everyone went to sleep, your vision briefly drooped. Maybe it was a little bit of the alcohol, but you'd closed your eyes for the briefest moment. For you too had a dream. You stand at attention. Duke Velos next to you as you begin the execution of the bandits. The first few are brought before the firing squad, are blindfolded and tied. You hear Velos say, a waste of potential, but for the safety of the Imperium, we must execute our enemies. Fire. You hear your own voice echo the command, and your men fire. Another group of bandits is brought in. Death to our enemies, Velos says. The command to fire comes, and your men fire. Carl is among this next group. And once again, the command to fire, and his body goes limp. Among the next group, you recognize some of these people. Your own men who have been under your command. You hesitate for a moment. They have been found guilty of withholding information vital to the Imperium, Saren. Death to our enemies. The guns fire. More of your men. Guilty of harboring a dangerous aberration. They refuse to tell us anything. Death to our enemies. The next group, a Leonin, stands among this group. Foreign powers seeking to undermine our nation. And guns fire again. A woman with peach hair is let out. There are no other bandits, only Sienna, and only you with your gun. The call comes again for the safety of the Imperium, and against your will, you feel you raise your own gun. You turn to look at your commander, but where Velos once stood, now stands Marcus. The psionic you defeated, a smile upon his face. You ought to watch what you eat, Captain. No telling what or who you might pick up. Now fire. And as the gun fires, You snap out of your vision in the middle of the night. And that burden carrying onwards into the rest of your day. And with that, we will stop here for the night. If you enjoyed what you watched, you're weird. But second, join us again next week.
Are
Hit
kind of
like and
weird though.
subscribe. Join us next week as we continue on with this story. I want to thank my players for their RP. I honestly feel like it's great when a GM is able to just sit by and listen for like 15, 20 minutes and they don't have to say anything. And it's great just watching you guys RP stuff out. But with that said, hit like and subscribe if you like what you see. Join us next week as we continue on our story. And with that said, have a good evening.